Hey friends, welcome back to Heartscapes. I'm gonna forego my usual channel intro spiel because tonight this is just a fireside conversation between friends about moments when the rubber really hits the road and you are called upon to practice what you preach, to really step into what you've been saying all along and walk the walk. My name is Michaela, and I am not in my studio today. I am sitting at the foot of Mount Shasta, and you may be able to hear it at various points during this video, but there is an absolutely raging storm going on outside the window. Just absolutely wild, blustery wind and rain. And it's really those conditions that are at the heart of the story that I want to share with you today, and the connections that I'm hoping to make between what's been going on the past couple of days and some of the things that I just really love to share from my heart with all of you. And again, a little bit of just a little bit of truth telling about the ways in which sometimes we gotta walk our talk. I'm a bit disheveled. It's late at night. I normally would not make a video under those conditions. I would normally percolate these ideas and wait till the morning when I have showered and made myself ready to be camera ready and share this in a more polished form. But sometimes you got to just share things as they come through and just not worry about all of that. So that's where we're at tonight. So this video is connected to one that I posted a few days ago, because the way in which I needed to practice what I preach was specifically related to a practice video that I shared around a practice that I call How Do I Feel and What Do I Need? And of course, as the trickster universe would sometimes have it, just a few days after posting that video, I really ran hard up against a absolute necessity for me to put that practice into work in my own life. So let me share just a tiny bit of context, a little bit of backstory, and tell you where I'm at. So like I said, I am in Shastina, California, in the footprint of Mount Shasta, which is a well-known, amazing mountain region in Northern California, right on the Oregon border. Has a deep and long spiritual and cultural history to the indigenous people of this land and to those who have settled and colonized and come after. It's a place where a lot of spiritual communities gather, and one that I've had the opportunity to spend a little bit more time in the last couple of years. It's late January. I think tomorrow actually is February 1st, 2024. And I'd really been feeling like I needed to take a little bit of a step back. We all sometimes need to take a few days away from our day to day to kind of clear our mind, to have an opportunity to do some visioning for the seasons to come. In my case, I needed to really root back into some things related to my work, related to my family and my home. A lot of changes and transitions coming up in my world in the coming months, and I just really needed to get away and clear my mind. Oftentimes, we do need that. I think we all need to make that kind of time for ourselves. But making the time, finding the resources to do it, and the place where you can go, especially if money resources are tight, where can you go to have that kind of space that's really going to feel like a nourishing place and be within one's means. And so in thinking about how I could make that happen, a dear friend offered to let me come up to her family's vacation home up here in Lake Shastina for a few days of solitude and reflection. And I was so deeply grateful for that resource coming at exactly the right time. And when we think about right timing, it can be funny because sometimes what we think about as being the right time is not necessarily what the universe has in mind for us as right time. So I was thinking beginning of the year, time to do visioning for the year to come. What I wasn't thinking, because I have lived in the Central Valley of California for a long, long time, where winters are very, very mild. But up here in the mountains, in the hilly area in Northern California, on the Oregon border, winter is a more intense time. There's winter storms that come through that are, that bring challenges that I am not accustomed to dealing with. And I just didn't really think about that. I just packed up my stuff and packed up a week's worth of food and my journals and my drum and drove on up here to this lovely place. As I was driving up into the foothills leading up to this place, the storm was starting to come in. The wind was starting to kick up. The clouds were rolling in. And I thought, okay, this could be kind of cool. It could be a little bit of an intense, blustery, time when I stay inside and stay cozy. And I knew that there was going to be, some rain, but I didn't really, I didn't put two and two together, despite the fact that I actually have an active fear of driving in snowy conditions because I'm so unaccustomed to it. So the first night that I was here, which was last night, the storm came in hard. It was, 60-mile-an-hour winds. The whole house just buffeted over and over again, feeling like small earthquakes were coming through just over and over again all day and into the evening. And by the evening, my nervous system was wrecked. I was running so much energy and adrenaline just in response to these conditions that I wasn't accustomed to. And just looking out at this amazing panorama view of the Mount Shasta Valley, with the mountain right there in front of me, but completely obscured by the storm clouds, like completely wiped and visible. And just this unceasing, intense, crazy wind buffeting this whole area. My nervous system was just running on high alert. Now, we all, most of us tend to have certain default emotions that we go to when we're in times of stress or, just, through our own personal cycles of emotional cycles. My personal cycle tends to spiral around the motion of sadness. So when I am stressed, when I am challenged, when, whatever conditions in the world or in my life or in the season are right, I'll tend to circle around sadness and, at its worst, going into places like depression. The emotions of anger and of fear are emotions that I don't touch directly as often. And between those two, more often anger than fear. So fear, like genuine fear, like not the subcategories of worry or concern, but like fear, active, adrenaline pumping, fight or flight fear, is not something I have a lot of experience with. Again, my system when I'm stressed or when I feel threatened tends to depress. It tends to go into freeze response, into, basically freeze response is my tendency when I'm under stress. And so this storm is happening. I try to go to sleep. My nervous system is all activated. I fall asleep for a couple hours, wake up around 1 or 2 in the morning, just in full fight or flight mode. Nervous system has not relaxed, even though I'm sleeping. And, the wind is still pounding. So, I did what any, reasonable modern person would do, pulled out my phone, started mindlessly scrolling the internet. Not the best response when we're having such a situation, but it is what I felt was available to me at that moment. So I'm scrolling the internet. I'm trying to find my way back to a place of calm so I can maybe try to go back to sleep. And all of a sudden, a storm warning pops up on my phone. And I open the storm warning and it's like all panic. It's like, storm coming in hot and heavy, couple of feet of snow coming in, so much wind, we're going to get like horizontal gusts of snow, ice, sleet, don't go anywhere, hunker down, don't drive, don't go anywhere if you can at all help it, hazardous, dangerous conditions, just like hunker down. And even though I was in fact at that moment hunkered down in a safe place with my car parked in a safe place, I went into a panic. It was probably the lack of sleep, the unfamiliar circumstances, the fact that I'm here alone in a strange place that I've never been, in this very vulnerable place of opening my heart to visioning for the coming season. I just really had come here with this intention of being open and being vulnerable and really kind of following what my heart wanted to show me. And in that moment, my heart was showing me abject terror. It's embarrassing to say it, because again, I was actually safe in that moment, but I was terrified. And my whole system was in this panic. And I tried for 2 hours, from about 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. to deal with it and calm down and distract myself and, whatever I could do in that moment. And by 4 o'clock, I just kind of hit this peak. And all of a sudden I was like, I have to get the hell out of here right now. I have to pack up my stuff, pack up the fridge, clean the mess that I've already made here so that I don't completely disappoint my friend and leave her house a mess. Pack up my car and book it out of here at 4 a.m. in the middle of a storm. Totally irrational response. Complete opposite of the advice that the storm warning was giving, to hunker down. But in those moments, perhaps you've had these moments when your system has been hijacked by that fight, flight, or freeze response. And your conscious thinking brain is no longer in control, and your body is just running, animal survival instincts. You're not necessarily thinking rationally. And again, this fear response was not one that I was used to. I'm very accustomed to a freeze response, to a quiet response, to a hunker down response. And all of a sudden I was in this response that I'm just not accustomed to. And in that space, the only thing that I could think to do was completely irrational. Run away, flee, right? That's what the fear response tells us to do, to flee, to run away. It was the most direct and literal experience that I personally have had to the flight response in my life. Again, I'm very familiar with the freeze response. I'm somewhat familiar with the fight response, which is associated with anger. I have not had such a direct experience of the terror, panic, run away response. But there it was, just full blown in my body. And so that was a choice point, right? We have these moments that are choice points. I could choose to follow that instinct, what my animal brain was telling me to do, what my panicked instincts were telling me to do, or I could try to find another path. And in that moment, it's like years of meditation and spiritual practice, right? They pay off in these moments of choice points. Because in that moment, I remembered the practice that I so often share with people, that I shared in that past video, that I'll link down below in case you want to walk it through with me. Simple practice of how do I feel, what do I need, and how can I respond? literally that's the practice. But in that other video, I walk you through a meditation that has you engage with those questions. But in that moment, I just needed to run that practice. And I'm so grateful that I had that practice embedded in my muscle memory, like in my deep brain. I didn't have to think hard about it to bring it forward. It was just there. It was in my hand when I needed it. Maybe you've had this experience before when your mind has been hijacked or distracted by one of these responses, and all of a sudden you realize that you have a resource, you have a tool, you have a capacity that you've spent time building, and it's there in your hand exactly in the moment that you need it. Whew. Grateful. So I sat with myself, took a few breaths, asked myself the question, how do I feel? Terrified. That was easy. I feel terrified. I feel panicked. I feel like I'm going to die if I don't get out of here. Okay. What do I need? That one was a little trickier because, of course, the first response was I need to get out of here. I need to book it right on out of here and escape. But I was clear that that was actually an unsafe and unwise decision. Okay. Ask again, a layer deeper. What do I need? I need my nervous system to calm down. I need to get to a place of something closer to equilibrium. And then I need a clear understanding of what is actually happening right now. Like truly, what is happening objectively right now? Okay, the first one, I got to calm my nervous system. Great, I have tools for that. I teach tools for that. It's my literal job. Spend some time in my breath, practicing tools that I know that calm the nervous system in a panicked moment. Got myself to a place of relative ease. Got my footing, felt grounded enough. Not fully, but enough. Okay, what is actually happening right now? And how can I find out? So, because I felt more grounded, I could do something that felt scary, which was to look back at that storm warning, right? That information that had triggered, or that had been kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, as the saying goes, right? The thing that had pitched me over the edge of going into panic. Looked back at the storm warning. Okay, read all the same scary stuff about what's happening. And, you know, it's like the timeline of the storm warning was like Wednesday, 4 a.m. through Thursday afternoon. And it was literally Wednesday at 4 a.m. in that moment. Okay, here it is. Kept scrolling. More details, more details. Here's what to do, here's what not to do. Got to the very end. An area that I had not read in my initial survey. Areas affected. Siskiyou Mountains above 4,000 feet. Okay. Quick Google search. What is the elevation at Lake Shastina, which is where I am? 2,000 feet. Oh, okay. So this regional storm warning, which is telling everybody in the vicinity about this information, but the actual place where the real danger is 2,000 feet further up. Okay, so then I remembered something else, that the owner of the house, when they were helping me prepare to come here, sent me a detailed weather report for what I could expect while I was here. I opened up that email. Rain, wind, bad visibility. You probably won't get to actually see the mountain. It'll be behind clouds. Light chance of snow on Friday, but you should be fine to drive. Oh, that's a very different picture than I'm going to be buried in snow and I'm going to get trapped and I'm going to die, right? Because that's what my system was telling me. And then I thought, well, honestly, even if that was the case, what's the worst case scenario? I'm already somewhere safe, a beautiful home, absolutely stockpiled with food and other provisions, with electricity and internet access, at least for now. Would it be so bad to be stuck here for a couple extra days? Be inconvenient, but I would be fine. And the fantasies that I'd been having an hour earlier as that panic was building, that literally my car was blowing off the hill that I had parked it on and was rolling down the hill at this moment, were unsubstantiated and were not actually happening. And it was like this flood of release and relief. Because what's actually happening in this moment is not much. There's a lot of wind outside, and my nervous system is kicked up. But I know how to deal with that if I can find the presence to stop and actually apply what I know about all of that. The fire just kicked up. Okay, so we're a little ways later. The venting on the gas fireplace kicked up, was making a lot of noise. I had to wait for it to settle itself down. Gosh, I think that's where we can land, right? Is this idea that oftentimes when we are running these animal responses, which are absolutely there to keep us safe, that are brilliant adaptations in our evolution to help us deal with a scary and dangerous and unpredictable world, they oftentimes are activated in times when we're not actually in any danger. And if we allow that system to run its course without putting it in check, and if we don't have a reservoir of tools to help us respond in that moment in ways that are soothing and are healthy and help us gain clarity about what is actually happening, we can really run away with those feelings and respond in all kinds of ways that can actually create more problems, create more danger for ourselves and for other people. At the very least, create more suffering, more heartache, more fear for ourselves, or more of a pain in the ass, as would absolutely have been in the case if I had tried to leave at 4 a.m. And this was just a really powerful reminder of that. And in that moment, after going through that process, I decided, okay, given that I now know what's actually happening in this moment, I'm going to choose to stay. And I was able to fall back to sleep and wake up late this morning, pretty groggy, not very well rested, and carry on with a day that was really, really powerful, that brought some really important insights and points of connection with some community and just good stuff that maybe I'll share in other videos. And I'm really grateful for that. And I look forward to what will happen tomorrow and Friday morning. Friday morning is actually, I have something special planned for myself for this time. And I would have been really disappointed if I had left and not given myself that, that moment, that gift that I had intended and been planning for so long. So I just wanted to offer that story to you. Even though I feel a little bit embarrassed that I'm making this video late at night, all disheveled. Normally I would be absolutely aghast to make a video with my hair a mess and in really bad lighting. I'm just realizing the lighting here is terrible for making videos. But again, I really just felt like I needed to capture this story when it was fresh. And as I'm going into the second evening with this new insight, and with the wind still raging outside. So friends, I really invite you to look at these moments when you can be nourished by the practices that you've devoted time to. If you feel that you need to cultivate more practices to help you to navigate times like these, then I really welcome you to come along with me on this channel. and in the work that I offer through Heartscapes. It's really important work. I have found that it's the most important work that I've ever done because it changes my life and it changes the life of people around me in ways that are simple, that are elegant, that are accessible, and that really make the difference when things really matter. And so come along with me. So, friends, thanks so much for hanging with me on this blustery evening. If you have found value in this story, in this perspective, in the practices that I share on this channel to help you through times like these, I'd really appreciate it if you would consider joining me on this channel by subscribing, by liking the video, by sharing it with somebody else who needs this message. It really does help this channel to grow, to get these stories out to more folks. And I really appreciate having you along for the ride. And as you move from this place into whatever this late winter has for you, may you be deeply provisioned for that journey. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. Until next time, I love you. Goodbye.